What's going on, guys? Panda Powers here today. We have the great honor to have.
Charisma Taylor.
She is a professional track athlete
Yes.
from
The Bahamas.
representing.
Yes. 242.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so I have the great honor to have her come in today for a quick sports massage. So today I'm gonna go demonstrate a quick routine we do for pre-event. Something we do really quick for the athletes once they finish their warm-up. And when they go to do their dynamic warm-up, they get their sweats up already. Our job is trying to see what we can do to help them keep fresh, especially for pre-event. Pre-event and post-event type of work, fairly similar. What I'm going to demonstrate is technically a full routine for post-event, but in terms of the usage of pre-event, we will use that similar routine and technically do it quicker. So we started off, have the athlete lay down on the table. Head can be about a fist difference from the table head. And we're going to start from here. So first thing we're going to do is working on the upper body. What we're going to do is just kind of get a feel of how their body is feeling, just a quick diagnostic. So compressions would be a great start. My expertise is in Thai massage, so some of the stuff I do is very Thai based, and it's a wonderful way to just kind of get a feel of how their body is feeling, how's their muscle tension. Obviously for pre-event, we're not so much in the mindset of fixing something or relieve certain tension. If anything, it just kind of make them feel good and get out. So what I like to do is just little compressions. I don't stay for long. Just press and go. So all the way from the forearms, biceps, into the pecs. Nothing crazy. Just compressions all the way down the arms. So once I kind of warmed it up, just a little jostling, little swings to kind of help loosen up some of these muscle tension. Now, what I usually focus on, this is more of a Eastern medicine practice. I go by origin point. So right here on the extensor group of the elbow, I like to just a little bit of pinpoint work, nothing crazy. So about 10 to 20 reps. So that kind of helps loosen up some of the forearm groups. And then next point is the biceps. So I like to just press and little arm circles, little circulation. Nothing crazy. Just press and circle, press and circle. A couple times. This is another very great point to open up the shoulders in Eastern medicine practice. Now we are going up right through the pecs. So first we're going to start with a palm. Palm press right on the tendinous groups of the shoulders and the pecs connection. We can external rotate. Coming out, press and roll. Obviously we can do it a little bit faster if we're trying to just get them ready and get them out of the table. A couple reps of that. We can also use a fist. Do not ever try to bend your wrist too much. You're going to end up hurting yourself. If you're ever punching somebody, you want to have a nice straight fist. All right, just punch through the pec and extend. So if you hyperextend your wrist, trying to do too much, you end up hurting your wrist. That's not good for your career. An average career span for a massage therapist is only 3 to 5 years. We want it to last longer than that. So make sure you have nice proper mechanics, nice straight fists. All right, we can switch up the angle, switch hands. So the outside hand grabs the wrist, inside hand goes right back into that pec. Same thing, you can do some opening here. She might feel a little bit extra force just because this angle is nicely aligns with the shoulders. And you'll sometimes hear a little snap, pop, and crackle. Usually that doesn't really mean anything. It's just tenderness, structures snapping over each other when there's not enough fluids in there or lubricant. So, you know, the name of the game, blood flow. We're trying to bring in more blood flow so they can move smoother. There's about 8 to 10 of those, and we're moving on. So what I like to do, since we have them right here, my outside hand holds the wrist still, so my inside hand opens up their palm. Now you can do a little bit of a palm stretch right here, and then the outside hand you can bring it under the elbow and bring them into a tricep stretch right there. So what we can do, little compressions, pull them back, nice little stretch. That opens up the lats as well. Nothing crazy, just a couple times, stretch. You can switch up the angle, press down right on the hip, and press through. Press through. So from there, you can transition from the hips right along the low back, the lats, coming all the way up. Just press a couple times along the lateral lines. This is something nice to do just because we don't pay attention to the side all that often. And it's good to have those muscles loosen up so your lats engages. Now I come out, little shakes, little jostle, traction. Come out, shake, traction. And all the way up, traction. Something I like to do is bring their arms cross-body and stretch. And if you want a little bit more of a stretch, you can always use your outside arm and grab their shoulders and pull a little bit. Let them beat that weight. This is a nice little stimulation for the shoulders and a little bit of thoracic spine because we're pulling that forward towards to us. Now bring her arms around to my shoulders so I have a nice little secure angle, and I can use my inside hand, pull and drop, pull and drop. Pretty much this works on the side of the body. Also, what I'm doing with this hand is going all the way through, almost right at the spine, pulling those muscles along the paraspinal muscles, increasing a little bit of that thoracic rotation, stimulation towards the low back. And we're done with one side. And repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now we have the lower body. So what I usually like to start is just utilizing being on the side. Compression. We're keeping things super simple. Most of our strokes is compression based. You don't have to go anything crazy. We don't really have time to do petrissage, effleurage and stuff like that. Is better with oil, and usually If they have slick clothing, then we can just try to push forward a little bit. But with pre-event type of setup, even post-event, people coming in sweaty, and it's just not good to trying to push all that and get dirty, and you have so many clients waiting for you. It's just a mess to clean up. We don't even try to use oil or all that much. If anything, my style of work is more towards Thai based, where it's compression, a little bit of stretching implemented into the practice, and it's super simple. We just have variations of compressions. Okay, and if you do find a little spot, like say for example, right along the IT band, the TFL muscles, and along the upper quads, we can always use ischemic compression, where we have a nice straight fist pressing on the muscle. Now this would be more ideal to do in the post-event scenario, where we can spend a little bit extra time to provide some tension relief. For pre-event, I would just normally just kind of go little circles with the fist with compression and move on. Compression, move on. Okay, but if you have a little bit of time, we can always pin, do a little bit pin and stretch action, a little pin and rotate, cross fiction, little cross fiber. But in a pre-event scenario, I would just start off outside, medial, and coming out, just like working along the Zen lines for a Thai massage. And it's just going to increase the speed. Just a little push. Nice lunge posture. So you have the power to go through the leg. Push. Nice little soft pushes. It's nothing crazy. She don't feel like I'm trying to throw her off the table. Just a little jostling type action. So now if you want to go a little bit specific, I like to start off here at the end of the feet and just compression. So that puts her legs into an external rotation. Just kind of go up and down of the feet. But on a event setting, most likely they still have their sneakers on. So that might not be something you wanted to do unless you're glove up, so you don't transfer the dirt they just ran on and just put them all over the body. They don't want that, neither do I. So, but this is a nice routine to do if they are coming into your clinic, you know, within that 48 hours for a post-event, where, you know, they're nice and clean, showered up. But this is nice to do just to open up the hips. Little internal rotation. Notice that I am in a horse stand. It's a quarter squat pretty much. Nice base. And you're utilizing your body. Shift. Shifting. And you can implement this into a little lunge, lateral lunge, left to right. Make them a little bit rhythmic. Okay. So, for filming purposes, I'm going to go to this side so I can demonstrate a little bit better. So, this is something I like to do. Compressions to have a feel of what their legs feels like, and then moving on to the lower leg. So now what I'm focusing on, it's a little bit lateral side. So what I'm doing is internal rotate with my inside arm on their foot or their ankle, and then compressions down the shin. Distal to proximal. Same thing, you can outside leg pull in so their hips is externally rotated. Compression along the shin bone, not directly on the bone, but just off to the side, coming out. Not as much force going from proximal to distal. Just increase the pressure from distal to proximal. Once we're done with that, little circles with the kneecap. I usually just kind of do about 10 and then reverse for 10. And then you can compressions, open palms, butterfly palms, compress and move up, compress and move up. Avoid going towards the crotch area, and you just use the outside hand going up the thighs. And then return, continue. Okay, so another compression technique or jostling technique I like to do, this is from Mr. Garcia, the bicycle. So what you're going to do is really compressing down, kind of gripping the whole leg and kind of going up and down. So compress down and just kind of like you're pedaling a bike up. Okay, or you can pick up the leg, a little shaking, jostling. To get the muscles going. So here is where I implement some of the Thai techniques. Again, if I'm going for more of a post event, this is probably what I'm likely going to do. Is utilize by bringing my leg up and just utilize my legs, kind of like acting like a foam roller. Just little internal, external rotations. So the closer to your thighs, less pressure onto their muscle. The closer to where your knee is, the kneecaps, that's going to be where they feel it the most. So usually I just kind of keep it around mid-thigh, roll it a couple times, move up slightly, just kind of keep going up. So I usually like to break body parts into threes. So right there, Achilles, soleus, the belly of the gastrocs. So I'll just 3 spot about 5 to 6 reps and then move on. 5 to 6 reps, move on. If the client does not mind sharing the table, I usually ask, hey, is it okay if I bring my leg up, utilize the table? Get their consent. If they say yes, that's cool. I can bring up my legs. So for Thai massage, I generally tell them in advance, or just generally in my line of work, because I do utilize Thai massage style and implement it into my sessions. I usually just kind of let my clients know before we even start the session. And with a leg up on the table, you have a little bit more leverage and a little bit more pressure going through the muscles here. And for me, I like to transition from this position into some hamstring presses where I bring their legs into a 90-degree and I can use my knees right there on their hamstrings and just pull. Move down, pull. So I grab their ankles, control their knees right here, move up, pull, move up, pull. So it's a nice little stretch at the same time. So I'm utilizing my knees to massage. But this is more of an advanced Thai technique. Or we can simply anchor their legs. And you can do a little bit of just grab and pull. I can control one side at a time, gripping their tissue from the opposite end and pull. Nothing crazy, just use the body weight. And then what I'm doing is kind of same thing as a butterfly, but reverse it. So now I'm gripping from within. So right at the Achilles. So I'm just coming back with my body weight and spreading my arms out. This is just great ways to stimulate the muscles. Again, I'm not staying there for too long, especially for pre-event. I just wanted her to feel, sense the touch, and move on. So that way, the body just knows it's stimulating and it gets the muscles going. And then for hamstring, you can always cradle the ankle and utilize your forearm. Press, press, press. Because we are using more of our forearm, she might not feel as much on the hamstring compared to the knee on the hamstring. So once I'm done with that, from here, I protect her knee coming out so she don't hyperextend. And I can utilize this angle to transition to the inner thighs a little bit, where I can anchor her foot onto my hips. And now my inside hand controls the other thigh, and I can use my outside hand. Here, outside hand, inside hand. So what I'm doing is a small lunge, push forward, coming back, move to the next spot. So kind of right along the adductor group. Nothing crazy, low press and move on. Distal to proximal. For post-event, I like to add into a little bit of a stretch where I can now bring her legs out straight onto the hip and just walk out until she feels the stretch for a nice little groin stretch, adductor stretch. Next thing I like to do is coming back to that cradle position, little hip circles, about 5 to 10 on each side. About that, and then we're going to reverse. Once I'm done from the hip circles, I can bring her legs, ankle towards the knee, and push for a little bit of a hip stretch. Again, I'm controlling the way she moves. I can use my outside hand anchor right by the hips to help control the movement a little bit better. And if she is very flexible, which she is, I can come around, straighten the knees, and bring her out this way. Into a stretch. I'm using my inside arm to block because she is turning over. So pretty much she's losing the stretch if I'm not blocking her. So another great way that I usually do is bring my knees right here on the thighs and then bring the opposite leg up and over. That way it prevents her from rolling towards me and she gets a better stretch through the hips. but I would only do this in a post-event massage. So pretty much in a pre-event, I focus on just doing a little bit of compression in a fast pace, doing a little bit of shaking, a little bit of jostling. To just kind of help stimulate the muscle, get her ready. But in a post-event, I'll take my time a little bit more, slower pace where I can kind of focus and get a feel of her muscle. And we can consider working on some of the tension area with a little bit of longer time. Okay? With that being said, thank you for watching. See you next time.